Hey y'all, it's Arnell, aka Nelly, and I have something to say. So, today's video is going to be about friendship, specifically losing friends or ending friendships, and the concept of am I the problem? This is something that I meditate with day and night. Because I've just been in a huge 10-year journey of figuring out like who I am, how I want to operate in the world, and who should be coming with me and what I'll tolerate. And that's just been really rough. When I was growing up, K through 12 and stuff, was a pretty I was goody two shoes. I would go to school, go to extracurriculars that were school sponsored, and come home on the school appointed bus. So, it never really gave like going out and exploring on my own. Like, I didn't really have the typical like high school experience that you see on TV or that some of my peers had. It was definitely giving like Caribbean Christian family, but like not to the extreme because there are like extreme Caribbean Christian families, and I wasn't giving that, but um, yeah, it wasn't giving young, wild, and free and American at all. So with that, like I'm realizing that I was just living this like routine that was placed on me, which I mean somewhat makes sense because I was a child, but also I'm realizing like when it comes to myself, and I'm extrapolating this for myself, but then applying it to children who are not me and past me, um that because I never really got like, I want to be very careful with these words because nuance, right? I was playing the role of the goody two shoes because I knew it made my parents happy, it made my family happy, like the people around me, like I would get such good feedback. And when you're a kid, you look for the good feedback. Like you do the things that you get good feedback for most of the time. Um, and so I was just like living my life for the good feedback, and I hadn't really grown out of that uh, perception of like how I should be. I mean, I still haven't, but I didn't realize that it was something I needed to grow out of until I got to college, and I was just having like experiences with people, with teachers, with you know, counselors and things like that. That just really shook me into realizing that I can't just live my life on a script. Like that just doesn't make sense. So that affected the way that I interacted with my friends naturally. Like they always say like when it comes to romantic relationships you often date people that remind you of your parents, but I think that stretches to like all types of relationships. I feel like we look for what's familiar in life, and so I find myself being drawn to people that remind me of both of my sisters, and even my like brother. Like I will run into like or feel close to just people that remind me of the people that I'm already comfortable with, or the people that bring me joy. And I think that's just how we do things in general. Like as humans, we look for what we know a lot of the time. That's not the only thing that we do, but we look for what we know. So, and that is not just the people that we know, but also the relationship dynamic. Ooh, not the academia. we look for we look for the relationship dynamics that we know as well. Like we tend to be in those roles, even if it looks different in different situations. So let me see. For example, I realized that like I tended to take, I want to say this very carefully because this was not every relationship, but I would find that there would be at least one relationship in my life at one time that would take on this role. And I don't know what about my family. Maybe it was just like the taking the backseat to authority. I don't think anyone in my family made me feel like this, but I think just the role of, the perfect Christian Caribbean child put me in this mode. But I would be the flunky a lot, like the sidekick, like, and I'm sure people who like know me are like, how, like, what are you talking about? But there were a couple friendships in my life where like I would be doing things like doing my normal thing, which is any and everything, child. Like I'd be doing a lot. Um, and if I was shining in something, like it would make certain friends really uncomfortable. And they would either slip up and say it, or like I could see it on their face, I could feel it in their energy, I could see it in like some of the actions that they would do. But because, I was a very literal child. Like I might need to go get tested for the TISM girl because I just was very like pattern oriented and um people pleasing, which is probably masking, and just like all of those things. So I would kind of just breeze by it and just be like, yeah. So okay, the reason why I said I was very literal is because like, I was a good little church girl. Drop it like I thought it, drop it like I thought. And God told us to love each other, love our enemies, love those who hate us, love da 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 da. And we have to, as a church, we have to go back to the Hebrew and the Aramaic and the Greek and really look at what the como se dice, nuance of these words mean and how they were translated, because I just feel like sometimes we miss like what the point was. Like there's so many ways to interpret the word love, so we should probably be very specific about finding out what God meant when he said love your enemies. Because I took it as allow them to do anything to you. Never protect yourself and just keep on giving people chances and chances and chances to prove that they had like grown or they weren't going to do certain things anymore. And what I found both in K through 12 and then especially in college, because that's when I like, I'm no longer with my parents, my schedule isn't set by them. I'm spending like most of my day in dorm rooms with people all the time. But I realized that Jesus Christ, what did I realize, girl? What did I realize? What did I realize? I wish I could rewind this video back, but it's me talking, so I can't. But I realized that, girl, what the hell did I realize? I forgot what I realized. What did I realize? What was I talking about? I was talking about college. I was talking about being in the room with people. I was talking about Christianity and how it. Well, I would love my enemies. I would love my neighbors. I would love my friends, and just be very like allowing them to do any and everything, because I was interpreting like the philosophies of Christianity as just like let everybody trample over you. And so I realized that that wasn't going to work. That's what I realized. I realized it wasn't going to work for me, and that I was putting myself in dangerous positions by allowing myself to, and it's not even just be friends with, because sometimes you don't have to end the friendship over just the smallest infractions, which was the journey that I was going on after I realized that I was a people pleaser. But just at least check people and let them know like this is not how we do it over here, so that they know like this is not how we do it over here. And I feel like I was setting myself up to be the friend that like everyone would be like, or no won't mind, or no won't mind if I do XYZ. She won't mind if I da da da. She won't mind if I boop boop boop. And so um, I'm realizing that I just want to make it clear to the people in my life that I'm not the person that you think. Oh, da da da. Like she won't mind. I don't want that to be the first thing that you think of when you think of me. Like, oh, no, won't mind. That's a setup for people to just be doing things to you. No. Mm-mm. So I had to first realize that there was a problem. That took a few run-ins and friendship breakups, and then I had to realize what treatment I didn't like what exactly was it that was setting me off. And that took a few revolutions to really just set into me. And then I got to the point where I'm like, okay, girl, are you the problem? Because it's a very fair question. Like, I feel like if you are encountering the same things over and over again, like, it's very fair and it's very good to ask, am I the problem? Um, and I started asking my loved ones, like my friends, like, am I the problem? And they would be like, no, like, these people are bugging. Like, and that is true. And we are going to play a drinking game with nuance. Maybe we'll do it with water so that we don't die. But I think there's a lot of nuance to the question, am I the problem, that doesn't get discussed. Because I think sometimes when we hear, am I the problem, we're hearing, is it directly my fault? And then assigning blame and shame to us. And so that was preventing me from seeing what actions I was doing that was leading to these situations. And it was also preventing my friends from accurately answering the question. Because if you interpret am I the problem with am I a bad person, or am I the one starting conflict, the answer is going to be no. Because I'm very conflict averse. I struggle with sharing conflict with loved ones. Really great at, like, debate and hypothetical things, and kind of like, you know, arguing down someone about something hypothetical. But when it comes to things that actually mattered to me, um, and like when it came to reflecting on how I was treated by people, I was very bad at sharing that. Sometimes in my past, I wouldn't share it at all, and I would just like go silent, and that wasn't working. And then eventually, I was able to heal the people pleaser part of myself that didn't think that I deserved to share, to that thought that I didn't deserve to cut people off, because I had some friendships that were like doing some things, and I would just like keep them around because we're friends, and like, we've invested so much in each other, and this person did this for me and I did that for them. And that's great. I think God puts certain people on our journeys for those types of interactions to happen. But sometimes those periods, my mama always said, you have people for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. So not everyone's going to be in the lifetime slot. Not everyone's going to be in the reason slot. Not everyone's going to be in the season slot. Um, so yeah, I got to a point where I could at least cut people off, which I think was important. It's weird that I didn't get the share thing first, because I feel like the natural progression would be, don't share anything at all, be closed in, and just go silent. The next natural step would be share with people, how they had you bent, how they had you messed up, and then get to the cutting people off. But I feel like, in life we go on extremes. I shared this metaphor with my dad once, and he let me know that that's not how engines work, but we're going to ignore that here, because I don't care about what's good for the engine. Let's think about the metaphor at hand. When you're in a car in a hot summer day, and you get in, and the leather seats are bunning up the back of your thighs, um, we don't set the AC to low. No one does that. We crank that hoe all the way to the right, right? To the cool. Is it cool on the right? Anyway, we crank that hoe all the way to the other side, to the cool, because we want to cool it down as fast as possible. Um, and so I think sometimes, like, humans, and especially me, let me speak for myself,